Hello, everyone. This is Justin Croxton here at Propellant Media. Run a digital ad agency out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm just really excited to have everybody here on the call today, here on this webinar to talk a little bit about geofencing marketing. I know you've probably seen, some information directly from us, and look, I'm just really appreciative that you guys were able to make some time to have this conversation and talk about what I would consider to be sort of the next tier, the next big level of advertising that can really make a difference both for you as an agency, if you have a marketing consulting firm, or if you're a company and you want to incorporate geofencing into your own organization for your own marketing mix. I think this presentation is really going to answer a lot of those questions for you. So let's really kind of dive into it. Really quickly, I want to tell you a little bit more about our agency, a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about some of the big takeaways, the things that you can expect to get out of this webinar. So, Propellant Media, we're a digital ad agency based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Probably when we were founded, we're really thinking about what are the solutions, the things that we can offer many of our clients that would make a huge difference. So some of your standard practices like Facebook advertising, search engine optimization, AdWords, those areas are things that we do. But the one area that we really focus on is programmatic display advertising. And we noticed that it was very difficult for small, mid-sized, and emerging brands to gain access to programmatic display. And I'm going to talk to you about what exactly that is. But it was very challenging for companies essentially to gain access to that software, to gain access to that level of advertising. And so we were founded to be able to bring that to small and mid-sized and emerging brands. That's sort of the impetus between sort of our agency and all the other both agencies and the companies that we work with as well. Who am I? Justin Croxton. I am one of the managing partners at Propellant Media. We have a nice sized team down here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a graduate of NYU Stern School of Business in New York. I attended Morehouse College, go Tigers, and I guess I considered myself to be somewhat of a digital expert. I mean, I know everything from Google AdWords, SEO, Facebook advertising, Amazon consulting, analytics. I mean, a lot of good stuff that we do as an agency. But I'd say the one area that I've really focused on, both within our agency and also just my own personal expertise, has been geofencing marketing for both corporations, organizations, and small and mid-sized companies as well. So what can you expect to get out of this webinar? I think the main reason why you're here is primarily to learn about geofencing marketing, which sort of is under the umbrella of programmatic display advertising, which we'll talk about. But by the end of this webinar, this conversation, you're definitely going to have a much clearer understanding of what exactly geofencing is. I'm going to dispel many of the sort of disbeliefs that might be out there around geofencing. Talk about some strategies, some use cases within geofencing. Many of you may also not know, but there is a way to measure foot traffic within geofencing. So people that have seen your ads and then came back to one of your actual locations, we can actually measure that on our end. So we're going to talk about that in greater detail as well. If you're an agency, also we're going to discuss how you can actually profit from geofencing advertising and bring in the service directly within your organization, how you can leverage geofencing to win more business, and then ultimately what it really takes for either an agency or for an organization or a company to get started with geofencing. So let's dive right into some of the details. There's sort of some big challenges that even us as an agency, when we first got started, we were facing. And that is, how can I make myself different? How can I make my organization different from all the other companies, all the other agencies that are already doing Facebook advertising, Google AdWords, search engine optimization? It's just entirely too saturated. It's like, what can I do to build a better mousetrap? I mean, that's really what it boils down to, other than me having these pre-existing relationships or folks that I had a conversation with and they want to give us a try because their previous agency just didn't do a great job for them. That's tough, right? And so we're all trying to figure out how we could make ourselves a little bit different. Also, Facebook and AdWords, those channels can get relatively expensive really fast. So if you think about For example, one channel for personal injury law firms. You could talk about they are spending close to $100 a click on the Google AdWords platform. And that might just be way too expensive for many of the smaller, mid-size, and even some of the startup law firms that are out there. So that's something to consider. It doesn't, a lot of these other platforms don't always, again, help marketers sell better. It's really not a lot of differentiation, as we were saying before. I can't differentiate myself from Disruptive or ResponseMind or Digitas or some of these other larger agencies that are out there. A lot of those other agencies, companies are going to go directly to them because they've been around for 20, 30, 40 years and they've been doing AdWords for a long period of time. So how are you as an agency or as a company able to differentiate yourself from some of the other players that are out there? Also, a lot of these other channels, they're just way too reliant on lead generation. Am I getting more phone calls? Am I getting more leads? And sometimes there is that conversation around the full marketing mix, right? There is that whole conversation around brand awareness, sort of continuing between direct response marketing, those people that are at the lower end of that marketing funnel, and you want to touch those people, but also those people that have never heard of you. But that if you got your brand directly in front of those individuals, they would probably want to listen to what you have to say. And then finally, this is probably the biggest piece, which is some of those digital channels are too geographically broad in nature. You can't really target all the way down to the contours of a building. You can't get all the way down to a retail store or a parking lot or things like that. With Facebook and AdWords, you can only target people that happen to be, within, I think on Facebook it's within a mile radius, but that's too broad for some people. And then for AdWords, I think it's no less than 5 miles, if I'm not mistaken. So with geofencing, it does give you the ability to target people in very, very precise areas. And we're going to talk about that in more detail as well. And for me, and for our agency, when we first were founded, we were doing, again, a lot of the Facebook advertising and SEO, and a lot of our clients were then asking, okay, well, what else? What else can you do for me? What else can you bring to the table that's going to allow us to get more out of our advertising spend and allow us to reach the primary customers and individuals that we want to get our message in front of? And that's sort of how we were found. That's sort of the process that we went through and realized that there was this whole other world of programmatic display advertising. And it doesn't sound sexy, right? Programmatic display. If I said, hey, you're joining this webinar so you can learn about programmatic display advertising, probably not. But geofencing does make sense to a number of people. Like, I can actually catch on to that phrase and say, oh, that makes sense. Geofencing, I can get down to a fence in a small area. Okay, I definitely want to learn a little bit more about that. But before I can talk about geofencing, I have to talk about programmatic, because geofencing falls within that umbrella of programmatic display advertising. So what is programmatic display? I'm literally taking this from Digiday because I think they've done pretty much a good job in explaining it. So programmatic ad buying typically refers to the use of software to purchase digital advertising, as opposed to the traditional process that involves RFPs, human negotiations, and manual insertion orders. It's basically using machines to buy ads, essentially, in what we call a real-time bidding environment. So if you think about back in the day, myself, I would have to call on, CBS, and I'd tell them, hey, I want to place an ad buy with your TV station, or I want to place an ad buy on your website. And then we would negotiate the terms, they would charge us a CPM rate, and then boom, we'd be done. And that's it. And then I would be able to serve my ads on that website for a period of time. But with programmatic, it's way more fluid. It's more of a real-time bidding environment where there's a certain amount of inventory that's available for all these different advertisers to show their ads on at any given time. And so programmatic display is great because now there's not that human negotiation element that's involved. It's more based on real-time bidding, it's an auction, and I can serve my ads across many, many different websites as long as I'm targeting the right people that I ultimately want to get in front of. So that's sort of the whole world of programmatic display advertising. And with programmatic display, there's a lot of different ways that we can reach people, right? And there's a lot of ways that we can target those individuals. We can target people directly based on data that's within the URL itself. So if I want to go after basketball fans or people that are into sports, this clearly would be a great website to go after. I can pull data directly from the link or tag data of what we call. So those individuals that are interested in more sports like NFL and MLB, we're able to capture that data as well. Contextual categories. We can go after particular categories. Again, just like I said, sports, again, that's one area of a contextual category that we can go after. People that have done searches within the actual browsers or websites. That's another area. So on-site search is one other area that we can target people on. too. And that's really, really good just from from a behavioral targeting perspective. Timestamps, we can capture that data. Keyword level data, we can target people based on specific keywords that happen to be within the content of specific websites. All of that falls within the whole world of programmatic display advertising. But geofencing is so much more, so much different. Everything that we talked about here is falling sort of in this world of online advertising. All those people that went to a website or went to an app, we're targeting those individuals based on their online behavior. But there was never really a way for us to go after people that happen to be at a particular location, or I happen to be at, the movie theaters, and so I want to target people that went to that movie theater. It's what we call the next level, that next tier of digital advertising that's really changed the game for many organizations, many advertisers that really want to get their messages out to people based on their physical activities. So I hope everybody's following me. I hope you see that geofencing and programmatic display, but specifically geofencing, can be a huge marketing opportunity that's available if you're willing to make the investment into geofencing advertising. So what is geofencing marketing? Geofencing marketing allows companies and advertisers to serve display banner ads to people and target those individuals in very precise places and the areas they go, such as competitor locations, convention centers, trade shows, retail locations, malls, events, neighborhoods, crosswalks. We can get to as small as a 25-foot location, essentially. And I just wanted to show you this quick screenshot and give you an example here where these were actual, I believe we were doing some geofences around Ford dealerships and we had a Toyota dealership here. These are the actual buildings. So it's not like we're targeting a 1 mile radius. We're targeting just those individuals that walk inside of these particular locations. And so now we're at a place where we're targeting people based on their user intent and where those individuals went, not targeting people based on their online activity. And even better, we're targeting those individuals that went to very small, precise areas. So we're getting more efficiencies out of our ad spend for those advertisers that we work with or for our own companies that we're doing that on behalf of. And here's the other really cool thing about geofencing. Geofencing gives us the ability to also measure foot traffic back to a client's location. So let me sort of say that one more time. So if I'm serving ads to people that walked inside of a geofence, I can actually measure how many of those individuals saw my client's ads and then came back to my physical storefront. That's very powerful stuff. And it's what we call conversion zone tracking. So I'm going to just kind of read it out here a little bit just so that everybody really understands this concept. This right here is a conversion zone. When someone enters the conversion zone, after viewing or clicking on an ad, after entering one of these 3 geofences that's here, this will then be counted as a view-through conversion or a click conversion, meaning someone either saw the ad or clicked on the ad and then came back to this particular location. Ultimately, we're able to measure the effectiveness of your geofencing display ads through your offline activities. Very powerful stuff. And yes, we can also measure online activity too. So if someone saw your ads and then went to your website and then filled out a form, we can measure that too. But being able to measure foot traffic, now we can get a much fuller picture of the impact that your advertising is having on the overall campaign that you may be running for geofencing or something more along those lines. So what's the process of geofencing? What exactly does that look like? So first, what happens is a person with the user, so that user with a mobile device enters one of those geofence locations. Our GPS technology captures the mobile device ID of that user. And when that happens, a couple things have to fall in line. The first is that the location services must be turned on for the cell phone to be captured. So if everybody that's out there, if you take out your mobile device right now, just go ahead and take out your mobile device and open up one of your apps. Let's say you go ahead and you open up Google Maps. In order for Google Maps to work, you must have your location services turned on. And it's the same thing. Many of these apps require that, or doesn't require, but in order for them to work properly, they do require that your location services is turned on. And the beauty is that most people typically do have their location services turned on. Typically, it's at least 90% of folks will have their location services turned on their mobile devices. So, as we said before, the GPS technology captures the mobile device ID of the user. The user opens up their browser or their app on their mobile device. And then when that happens, so everybody, you have your mobile device open. Let's say you open up Angry Birds or the Weather Channel, the ESPN app. If you scroll down, you will see various ads that are already on those different apps. In our agency, we have access to over 600, 700,000 apps on the iOS and Android platform app stores, essentially. And so from the point in which that individual walked inside of that geofence, and also for up to 30 days after they leave the geofence, we can serve ads to those individuals on some of those apps that we effectively have access to. And finally, we can serve ads to those individuals when they happen to be on mobile devices, and then also when they happen to be on tablets as well. That's where our geofencing really comes into effect. So for me, it's one thing for me to kind of go through a PowerPoint presentation, talk about geofencing. It's another thing for you to actually see it live. And I am actually going to give you an opportunity to see what the geofencing looks like in a live demonstration. So, Propellant Media, I'm going to give you a couple examples. This is one example where, let's say, Rick Hendrick of Chevrolet happens to be our client, and they want us to geofence some of their competitors that might be in the market. So this happens to be Nally Nissan. We can literally go on our platform and build what's called a virtual geofence directly around Nally Nissan. And all of those individuals that walk inside of Nally Nissan and see the ads or clicked on those ads, I mean, we now have an ability to serve ads to all of those individuals that walked inside that location, which is great. And you can see that this is way better than having to target, you think about it, having to target an entire, let's see here, even just saying, man, I got to target this entire area. Look at the inefficiencies that you're experiencing targeting all of that versus targeting just Nally Nissan. Really, really powerful stuff. Hope everybody's following me on that. So that's the one thing, that's the one good thing that I see with geofencing. That's just for the car industry. That's just one example. Let's say you happen to be, if you want to target a trade show, we have the Georgia World Congress Center here in Atlanta, Georgia. World Congress, can I spell it right? Come on, there we go, Georgia World Congress Center. So if you want to target a particular trade show, that's another capability that we have as well. So if you just wanted to build a fence just around the Georgia World Congress Center, that's another example. So if you have a trade show that you want to reach people at, and maybe you can't even get to the trade show, but you still want to serve ads to those individuals, that becomes another example of utilizing geofencing just to get your message directly in front of just those individuals that went to that particular trade show. So that's one other area. Let's just do one other one. There's this place here in Atlanta called Nonstop. I've been trying to get these guys as a client for quite some time, but I think they're holding off a little bit on me. But I'm still going to work on them a little bit. But if they're out there, hopefully they can see sort of this example of what I'm going to show them right now. So here's the cool thing about this is more as it relates to restaurants and retail locations. So I know that Nonstop is located right here. So in this case, they may decide that they want to reach folks that happen to be on some of these different, what's the word I'm looking for? These different office buildings. And so I can then, you can see I changed this to more of a satellite view. So now I can build a virtual fence around that location. I can build a virtual fence around this location, as many locations as I want. Maybe I want to also target the people that happen to be, let's see here. I think that's their location right there, but maybe I also want to target this mall too. So I can build a virtual fence around there as well in this entire parking lot. So all the individuals that are nearby Nonstop, that's an Indian fast food fusion, or not fast food, but an Indian fusion cuisine restaurant. All the individuals that have seen our ads that came inside of these different geofences, we can now serve ads to them on behalf of Nonstop, the restaurant itself. So the platform and our ability to turn up these ads, turn up these campaigns is relatively simple, and it's quick, and we can do it with ease. The thinking, though, is how do we build out the proper strategy? How do we make it so that we're able to get our message in front of the people that matters the most to the clients that we work with? There's many, many different use cases, and we're going to talk about the different industries that geofencing can work really well with closer to the end of this presentation. But geofencing, location-based marketing, is pretty much the same thing that what we call it. I thought it'd be important to kind of share with everybody the overall inventory and the reach that we get with geofencing. So the first is that we have over 600,000 applications, well over 11,000 publishers that we work with. In terms of the inventory type, we primarily show at least 98-99% of our ads are shown through in-app, and then the other 2% is shown through mobile web browsers, so websites that accepts advertising. And then when it comes to the actual device types, I'd say 81% of the ads will be shown primarily through smartphone devices, the other 13% through tablets, and I'd say the other 6% actually does get shown through people that happen to have iPods as well, which I don't know that many people that actually has an iPod. I think I have a couple, but I don't think I've used an iPad in quite some time. But as I mentioned before, the ads will be served to those individuals for up to 30 days for those individuals that walked inside the geofence. So individual walked inside the geofence, they are going to be within that audience pool for up to 30 days, no more than 30 days, unless they happen to click on the website and we decide that we want to, do some site retargeting with those individuals, which comes into sort of the overall marketing mix and the overall strategy that you want to implement on behalf of a client. So just kind of round this out a little bit. What are some of the big takeaways, the big benefits that we get from geofencing? The first is that this really is the most targeted geographical form of digital advertising. I mean, you think about AdWords, search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, Google display, any other display advertising that's out there. Even if you think about TV and radio, you have to effectively serve ads to a large swath of people, which isn't ideal for many marketing organizations or ideal for any companies that just want to message people that happen to be in very, very precise areas. With geofencing, you can get all the way down to the contours of a building, which is really nice. The other good thing about geofencing is you can actually reach people based on their behavioral intent. So if you think about the car example, you know that someone's going to a car location 9 times out of 10, they're looking to buy a car. Maybe some of those individuals are looking to get their car repaired. And if that's the case, then we just won't geofence the car repair center. We'll just geofence the showroom or those types of locations. But now you can think to yourself, okay, I know that my ideal customer goes to this particular area or goes to this particular location. Let me geofence that place, which is really nice. Also, you can measure offline and online conversions. I don't believe that there's anyone else that's out there that can measure offline conversions like you can with geofencing. You certainly can't do it with TV and radio, but you can with geofencing. We also like to say that it's a really, really great complement to those other geofencing, or not geofencing, but to those other digital channels that you may be leveraging. So if you are doing TV, radio, and print, you may decide that you want to put some budget towards geofencing because you're able to get in a more targeted way in front of those individuals that makes the most sense to your business and your brand. As I mentioned before, you're able to get more efficiencies in your ad spend. So again, targeting just a building versus targeting a 1 mile radius can be very, very nice. Provides a great return on investment for your clients. This process of geofencing is very, very simple to implement, and we'll talk about what are those specifics that are needed to get started with geofencing. As I mentioned before, it also becomes a really nice complement to your entire marketing mix or any other forms of marketing that you may be doing. So let's now talk about what geofencing is not, because there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of questions and conversations around geofencing. I'm like, guys, that is not geofencing, at least in my mind. So I personally don't see geofencing as beacon technology. I mean, it sort of is because you are reaching people within a proximity, but when I think about geofencing, I look at it as somebody that really walks inside of a virtual geofence, and you can target those individuals for a certain period of time. With beacon technology, you have to get within 50 meters, 50 to 100 meters of an actual physical beacon. So that's sort of the way that I personally, that's just me. That might be someone else might have a different way to describe it, but that's sort of how I look at it. It is not push notifications. We are not doing push notifications to individuals. We are also not doing SMS text messages. In order to send a text message to someone, we have to capture their mobile device, their phone number. And we are not capturing their phone numbers when that person enters the geofence. We're only capturing their mobile device ID. That's it. So I just wanted to be clear with anybody that thinks that, we can just start text messaging everybody that walks inside of our geofences. No, that's not how it works. And if you think about it, that doesn't work very well from an advertising standpoint, because if I haven't given you permission to send me a text message, then I'm going to be pissed off. I mean, even for me, if I get a text message from someone that I don't know, I'm usually pretty wary of that. And so the beauty with geofencing is that it's very unencumbering. If someone happens to be on an app and they see your ad and your copy is compelling, then awesome. If they click on that, then you know it's resonated with them. It's had an impact on them. That's the type of advertising that you want to take advantage of, not sending just a text message to someone that you've never even heard of. So I just want to make that clear. Also, it's not Google AdWords, text ads, or anything like that. These are display ads that are being served on mobile apps and on websites. Again, no AdWords within geofencing. I know there are some folks that are trying to do it, but it's not possible, at least not at this stage. It's not the Google Display Network. Everything that we do from a geofencing standpoint is not in line with the Google Display Network, so I want to be clear on that part as well. It's not radius targeting. We're getting all the way down to the contours of a building, not down to a radius targeting. We can get as wide as radius targeting, but why do that level of radius targeting? We can get all the way down to a specific finite number of buildings or locations or malls or retail centers where your people are going to likely be in. So it's not radius targeting. Also, it's not site retargeting. Our agency, we do have some really powerful site retargeting capabilities. And so normally when we set up geofencing campaigns, we like to put site retargeting in there so that we can make the campaign a little bit more comprehensive. But it's not site retargeting. I just want to make that clear. And then finally, there's no billboard or print advertising. It's not that either. So we're not talking about targeting individuals that happen to be, so bottom line, it's not billboard or print advertising. We can place a geofence around a billboard and target those individuals that pass by that particular billboard, but it's not billboard or print advertising. So hope everybody's following me. I got a couple more minutes here, and then we're going to talk about some opportunities that I think are really, truly available for agencies and also for companies that want to get into with geofencing marketing, geofencing advertising. So let's just do a really quick recap of the different places that we can effectively geofence. So targeting prospects based on the real activities, we can do competitor locations. Now we're getting into some of the strategy, right? You can think of all your competitors and target your competitor locations. Maybe you want to do a geofence around all of your own stores. Maybe you're focused more on a customer loyalty opportunity for your own brand. That's one example in which you can take advantage of. Maybe you want to target retail locations. We talked about this before. Maybe you also want to do trade shows or events. Maybe there are some individual buildings and hospitals that you want to get in front of and the patients that might be there. Maybe there are some specific streets and cross sections. Again, we talked about retail locations, but specifically pharmacies, parks, sporting events. I mean, the sky's really the limit in terms of all the different areas and locations that you want to target. Now, there are, for example, certain HIPAA laws that you have to be in compliance with. Like, for example, I know that you can't directly geofence elementary schools and middle schools, but you can geofence like high schools because you can't target based on COPA laws. You can't target folks under a certain age bracket. So just little nuances that you have to consider, but our agency, we're pretty much on top of many of those particular areas of compliance. And so a number of folks will ask us, well, can I still measure online conversions with geofencing? And the question is absolutely yes, you can. Phone calls, pages that people have visited, form submissions, searches are on your website, video plays, chat box engagements. If you're running a geofencing campaign, you can still measure all of these different areas of conversions online, in addition to the offline foot traffic piece that we talked about as well. Definitely have those capabilities. In terms of the creative ad sizes that are needed for geofencing, I'd say from all the work that we've done with many of our clients and the agencies that we've partnered with, there's 7 that typically gets the most play in our experience. The first is 300 by 250. That's a mobile and a desktop size. 728 by 90, 300 by 50, and 320 by 50. Those last two that I mentioned, those are mobile app specific ad sizes. 250 by 250, 160 by 600, and then 1200 by 628. That's a native ad size. We recommend many of our clients utilize that and implement that into their campaigns. And the other good thing, the other really cool thing about geofencing is it doesn't only have to be these static ads. You can also run video ads with geofencing. So if you have a client that's doing TV advertisements and you want to sort of couple that with some online marketing, specifically with video and geofencing, you can do that here. And we like to tell many of our clients that it is less expensive than TV. You can reach the same audiences online that are watching your TV campaigns. You can leverage your TV budgets and those same creative assets to extend into more of a digital advertising campaign. And you can build an ad that allows for searchers to still click on your companion ads when they visit your website. So ultimately, video ends up being a really nice complement with geofencing, and we do have those capabilities. So many of you have gone through this entire webinar with us and been like, all right, well, why does this matter to you guys? Like, why does it matter? Why am I even watching this? And clearly you want to learn a little bit more about geofencing, which I personally do appreciate. But we see that there is a huge opportunity with geofencing, whether you're a company or if you're an agency and you want to pull this form of advertising directly into your own organization. And what we've started to do at our agency is we were getting a lot of companies that were reaching out to us saying, hey, Justin, hey guys, hey, Propellant Media, we would like to partner with you in some capacity. And we never pegged ourselves as a white label agency. I'd say about 75% of our clients are still companies that do geofencing, AdWords, SEO, and other forms of advertising with us. But a lot of agencies start calling us and reaching out. And so we decided, let's create a program that makes financial sense for those agencies and for those companies out there. So we create a white label program. And so the program is for agencies, it's for marketing firms, it's for PR, consultants, marketing, business consultants, the whole nine yards. And so the way we look at it is that most demand side platforms, those DSP platforms that are out there, like the Trade Desk and DataZoo and all those big platforms, they require you to spend at least $20,000 a month on those platforms, but not our agency. You don't have to spend $20,000 a month in order to get in with geofencing. With us, our minimums are way, way lower than that. Also, we charge our clients a standard CPM rate, that's cost per thousand impressions. But for our agencies, we actually reduce our CPM rates for our agency partners because there's an expectation that there's a larger volume. We just try to make it make sense and work for many of our agency partners, so it is profitable for you. We also reduce our monthly minimum spends for our agency partners. So we can talk about that at some time in the near future if you guys want to book a strategy session with one of our guys. But that's one of the other things that we're able to do for our agency partners as well. We provide training, we provide support to our agency partners so you can learn how to not necessarily sell, but educate your clients a lot better on geofencing and the impact that it can have on their business or their brand. I think one of the areas that we really pride ourselves in our agency is our level of reporting. We have a lot of small businesses, a lot of small, mid-sized companies that want to get a sense or have intelligent conversations on what's making the biggest difference within their advertising spend. And so we provide many of our agency partners with 24/7 on-demand white label reporting. So you can actually place your logo on the same reporting that we would give you access to. Not our logo, but your logo, so you can share that with your clients. And then most importantly, you get an agency partner. What we like to say at our firm is that it's your brand. It's your brand, it's all of us, our collective expertise and our experience, and us behind the scenes that's executing these campaigns on behalf of your clients. And if you're a company, I have something for you, so just sit tight for a quick second. But this is sort of an example of our white label reporting, our analytics that you have 24/7 access to. So, not even just for geofencing and programmatic campaigns. I mean, even if you had Google Analytics, Google AdWords, or other social media platforms that you want to integrate for your one client, we can actually pull all of that into one dashboard for your clients and still have your logo on there. So what if I'm a company, not a white label partner? And I was mentioning to many of you out there that our agency, we bring geofencing marketing and programmatic display to many companies as well. I'd say 75% of our business at our agency happens to be direct companies that we work with, and the other 25% are actually agencies. We can still implement geofencing advertising relatively quickly. It's not challenging at all. It's nothing different. Only need creative ads in the locations that you desire to geofence. We have you fill out and sign a service agreement, and we work together to build a digital geofencing programmatic strategy that's going to be executed on by our agency on behalf of your company. You can still gain the same access that agency partners would have access to, which is your own analytics dashboard that you'll have 24/7 access to. And all you would have to do is schedule a strategy call or a strategy session with someone from our team, and we would go from there. And I just want to kind of share with you all, these are just some of the different agencies, the different companies that we've partnered with. I mean, some of these folks we've had relationships with for at least the past 2 years. And just an example, this gentleman, Eric, over at the Snook Group, he said here that our team just launched a new campaign. I think we literally just started working with him, I believe like a month ago. And they said that they were so happy with the results in the first week, they are already looking to expand the campaign. And they literally have expanded the campaign. We have a few more dealerships that we're, and some companies that we're actually working with from that standpoint. So we definitely appreciate the business and the partnership that we've cultivated with Eric. Lulu, she's a great friend of ours. We've been working together for the past at least 2 years. And the one thing that she said to us was the uniqueness and effectiveness of the geofencing campaigns have allowed my consulting company to offer the most quantifiable conversion tracking that my clients cannot get elsewhere. And I promise you all, I did not write that. That was her, not me. So I want to sort of throw that out there. And then also Brock, he's a really good guy, Omnitize, based out of the Northeast. He says, as an agency, since we partner with Propellant Media, we've been able to bring more solutions to our clients, allowing us to win more business and differentiate our brand. So there you have it. I mean, those are just a few of the agencies that we've partnered with over the past several years that we continue to bring our white label services to. So I think one of the things that I told you all that I would talk about is what are the industries that actually do or don't do well with geofencing. So in particular, for this one of the things that we like to say is, all right, well, I sort of look at it as three different tiers: great, good, and just okay. The industries that are doing incredibly well with geofencing: dealerships, retail, legal does relatively well too, education, medical and healthcare, food and restaurants. I mean, I think those guys are doing a killing with geofencing without question. We have a number of different restaurants that we work with currently. Hospitality and travel, trade shows and events. Now, we don't always like clients to only do trade shows and events, but it's just a natural, it's sort of a natural fit because geofencing can be such an event-based marketing strategy for a company. And then also politics and advocacy. Folks that are doing good, great, between great and good, I would say, with geofencing, technology and software. I think real estate, particularly if you're a developer or if you're a real estate agency and you want to sort of increase your awareness, or if you have an open house and you want to drive awareness for that open house, there's some opportunities there. A lot of professional service-based companies, there's definitely a ton of opportunity with you guys out there as well. We actually work with quite a number of nonprofits, and those are not just nonprofits that are looking for us to do Google AdWords through their Google Grant program, but also nonprofits that are doing a number of different events, and they want to bring some awareness to some of those events that they're advertising on. Trade organizations, also folks that are looking to do more recruiting and job placement. B2B, so targeting more of those B2B type clients, that's a great opportunity as well. And we also happen to have a lot of relationships, or some really good relationships, with some TV shows and radio stations and actually TV stations. One of our largest clients actually happens to be a large TV station that we work with. So that's another opportunity that we can have a conversation with. The industries are the areas that are just doing okay, in my opinion. I personally don't recommend e-commerce as a solution for geofencing unless you really do genuinely care more about brand awareness and maybe you also happen to have a brick and mortar location. But if you're really like a very, very small brand and you're just starting out with an e-commerce store, I personally wouldn't recommend geofencing for you, just being straight with you on that. And then also, if you're only looking at geofencing for lead generation, it really does depend on the industry. So if you have a relatively low average customer value, meaning you're only going to make like $100 for just lead generation, like if I'm an attorney and I'm just looking for a consultation and I'm only going to get $100, then it may not make sense. The numbers may not work out. But if I'm a personal injury lawyer and I'm going to be making at least $5,000 to $10,000 for each case that I get from the leads that come in, geofencing could be a really, really great opportunity. So part of that is just us having a conversation to better understand if it could be a really nice mix for you or for your organization. So, it's a lot. So let's do a quick recap for everybody. So, what's the most targeted form? Why utilize geofencing marketing today? The first is it really is the most targeted form of digital advertising based on your physical activities. You can target people based on their intent and also their buyer behavior. Targeting them based on the physical places that they went can also indicate both intent and buyer behavior. It also gives us the opportunity to measure foot traffic, measure online foot traffic and also offline foot traffic. It's a great complement to many of the other digital advertising channels that you may be currently leveraging, whether you're doing AdWords or SEO or Facebook advertising or other forms of display. Geofencing is awesome in that regard. You're able to achieve many more efficiencies in ad spend, which is really nice. Provides really great returns for many of our clients. It's really simple to set up. And we actually have some advanced stuff that we're working on behind the scenes, so stay tuned on that, but some areas around Facebook advertising. We also do demographic layering within our geofencing campaigns, but we're looking to take that to a whole different level. So part of the reason why I wanted to do this webinar was to educate everybody on geofencing, talk to you a little bit more about how it can be a benefit. Most importantly, for those companies and those agencies, if you're looking for an agency that's been in this space for some time, that knows the ins and outs of geofencing, I want you guys to book an appointment with us. Just go ahead and book an appointment with us. Get with our team so that we can talk to you about what it is that entails within geofencing by itself. And so in order for companies to get started with geofencing, your creative ads, so whether it's static or video, we need a list of the locations that you'd like us to geofence. We need to know the dates of the campaign. If you have a physical store and you want us to do offline measurement, we can track that. We just need your physical address, the web URL that we're going to be sending the traffic to, possibly an opportunity to place our pixel on your website so that we can measure online conversions, not just offline conversions. And then everybody, all we need is 3 business days after that, and we can launch one of your campaigns. So for anybody that's out there that wants to partner with our agency, that wants to learn a little bit more about geofencing, even just wants to have a conversation to see if it still is the right fit for them, go ahead and schedule an appointment with someone. From our team. I think I spelled the appoint wrong, but that's okay. So everybody, go over there to bit.ly/geofencing-appointment. Again, bit.ly/geofencing appointment, or you can sort of go to the link that's below here on this webinar. And we look forward to hearing from you. I hope this was useful. I hope we are able to sort of dispel many of those myths that might be out there. And I really hope we answered a ton of the questions that many of the folks out there may have. I wanted to set some time aside for some Q&A. And I think we've gotten quite a number of questions that came through. So I went ahead and I've been sort of got some of these jotted down, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of these. So let me go through some of these questions really quickly. Number one, what is your standard pricing for companies and agencies? So in order for you to find that out, I would require, and our team would require you to book an appointment with us. I will say that in order to get on most DSP platforms, you have to be spending well over $15,000 to $20,000 a month to get onto some of those platforms. For us, our pricing is way different from that. It's way less than that. We try to make it as easy as possible for agencies and for companies to leverage geofencing for their clients or for themselves. So if you want to know more about the geofencing pricing, meaning what our agency charges, I would ask you to book an appointment with someone from our team. It would be more of a strategy call or strategy session. Next, are we charging the agency or the company? Meaning, is Propellant Media charging the agency or the company? And so the answer is, if we're working with an agency, we would be charging the agency, not the company. And then the agency, if you're a white label partner to us, you would be charging the companies that you're working with. And we can talk about what that looks like after we have a call or have a conversation. But if we're working directly with a company, then Propellant Media would be charging the company directly. Next question that we got was, are there any other fees that are involved with geofencing? And the answer is no. It's just the fees that we would talk about on a call, but normally, like let's say for example, if we were charging $2,000 a month, that would be the only charges that you would have to worry about in terms of the media spend. So we don't charge extra for onboarding or things of that nature. That might change in the near future because it does take us a little bit of time. But right now, we do not charge anything extra for that. How much should I spend per location? So let's say, for example, I have a physical location and I want to target, a number of other areas that I want to geofence. Our rule of thumb is we typically say for every $1,000 that you spend, we suggest anywhere from 10 to 20 locations that you geofence. We think that's a good ballpark. Now, that changes, of course, if you're doing a trade show or an event, of course, but if you have more of an ongoing geofencing campaign, that's typically what we recommend from that standpoint. Next question, can I get the actual mobile device IDs and names of the people that enter the geofences? And in the traditional sense, the answer is no, but we are actually working on something like that, more of what we consider our future advanced geofencing capabilities, where we may be able to actually provide some of that data to some of our clients. So stay tuned on that. How long can I serve ads to those individuals? So from the moment in which the campaigns can run for as long as you want, but from the moment in which the individual entered the geofence, we can serve ads to that individual for up to 30 days. So it's for up to 30 days. Now, if you're doing a site retargeting campaign and that same individual clicked on one of those ads, we can then serve ads to that individual for an additional 6 months or a year, or for as long as we actually want to do that. So that's part of the capabilities that we have too. Can it be used for trade shows and exhibitors? Yes, we talked about that here on the webinar. We can absolutely do trade shows and actually work with exhibitors that want to drive traffic to their actual store, to their actual location when they're exhibiting on site at one of these convention centers. What other tactics outside of geofencing do you recommend? Typically, I was mentioning to everybody that we like to put together more of a comprehensive game plan for our clients, so we won't just only do geofencing. We'll also do, unless we absolutely have to and it only makes sense for that, but in other cases, we may also do a little bit of site retargeting. We have another solution in Programmatic that's called search retargeting, where we can serve ads to people based on their search history. So if you happen to be on Bing, Yahoo, many other third-party search engines outside of Google, we don't have access to Google, but a lot of the other ones, we can serve ads to those same people. So if someone were to go on Bing, for example, and I just got into a car accident, and I'm looking for a car accident attorney, and I did a search for a car accident attorney in the past 2 days, I, as an advertiser, could serve ads to that individual for a period of time as well, which is really nice. So those are some of the other solutions, but we have a whole host of other programmatic solutions that can fit really nicely within geofencing marketing as well. How much can agencies make from geofencing marketing? Honestly, guys, the sky's the limit. If I were to give you some hard numbers, most of our agencies are typically getting anywhere from a 15% to a 25%, 30% agency fee on the media spend. So if you had a client that's spending $5,000 as an agency, you could actually be getting something close to $800 to $1,000 just from that fee alone. So it's just an example, though. I just want to be clear on that. That's just an example of what's possible with agencies, but we can have that conversation. Can your agency handle creative ads for clients? And the answer is yes. We do have a team on site that does do creative ads for many of our clients. So a lot of the ads that I showed you in that one slide, the 300 by 250, the 720 by 90, we can do that as well. And we do charge a one-time fee for that. But we do that for many of our clients as well. Now, if you wanted to do it yourself, you can do that too. We'll provide you with the guidance and the perspective so you know how to build out those individual ads for your own company or for yourself for that matter. Can you cap the delivery of ads? The answer is yes, we can place caps. So if we wanted to only serve, let's say, 5 ads per day per person, or 7 ads per day per person, or 10 ads every 12 hours per day per person. We have all those different flexible capabilities, and we can do that as well within geofencing marketing and just any form of programmatic display advertising. Where have you seen geofencing not work for clients? Great question. So I guess the easiest way to answer that is when a client has an advertisement that doesn't really resonate, like there's nothing special about the offer, like it's like, oh, I exist, come check me out. Those are the ones that don't do as well, in my opinion. I mean, there are some like that that do well, but we're trying to give ourselves the best chance to win with geofencing. And I'll look at three different areas, in which people are going through this entire continuum. It's the who, it's the where, and the what. Who am I targeting? Where am I sending that traffic to? And what am I saying to those individuals? So do I have a really nice landing page, for example? Who am I sending the traffic to? Am I targeting the right people? And is my message resonating with those individuals? And if you have those three things in line, then you really are putting yourself in a really good place. But some of those industries that I talked about earlier, those are some of the ones that I don't see personally as doing as well within geofencing. I think the other thing is you have to really set your expectations. Geofencing is not the best lead generation strategy. Like with AdWords is great because if someone did a search, they did a search because they need some information right then and there. With what we're doing with geofencing, yes, we're able to target people based on their user intent and based on their physical activities, but it's still disruptive in some nature. We're still putting an ad in front of an individual and trying to get them to take a look at us or take a look or consider our brand. So that's just one thing that you have to consider when it comes to programmatic display and geofencing. I do see geofencing work more times than not. I will say that, but I just want to sort of make that clear to everybody that's out there. And so just to recap, for those folks that haven't booked an appointment with us, don't forget to book an appointment, bit.ly/geofencing appointments. All right. Who decides which mobile ads my ads will show up on? What was that question? Who decides which mobile ads my ads will show up on? I'm not quite understanding that question. My apologies. Can you cap the number of ads that are served per day per person? We answered that. The answer is yes, we can. What apps do my ads show up on? So we have access to over 600,000 apps on the App Store and Android and iOS. So Angry Birds, Words with Friends, the Weather Channel, your local news app. I mean, business-based apps. We have tons and tons of apps that we have access to. Now, I will say we don't have access to like the Facebook app or Snapchat or some of those big players out there that don't give access to third-party advertisers or ad exchanges. We don't have access to those. But over 600, we're definitely going to, delivery of ads will not be a problem for our agency. So I think that's pretty much it. We don't have any other questions that can be answered at this stage. So everybody, if you are a company or an agency and you're looking for just some general information on geofencing, you're looking to incorporate geofencing as a service into your agency, or if you just want to learn a little bit more about it, or if you're a company and you want to pull geofencing in directly to your own company, please feel free to book an appointment with us. Just click on the link below, enter your information, and we'll book a strategy session with someone from our team, and we can have a more intimate conversation around that. So I hope this webinar was useful for everybody. We tried to answer as many questions that we could. I'm sure there's a couple things that we may have left out, but I hope this was useful. Thanks so much for taking the time. Again, don't forget to schedule an appointment with our team, and we'll take it from there. Thanks so much, everyone. You take care.